Ladies and gentlemen, in this, I would like to welcome our moderator, Sankar Ganesh, on stage, please. The technical director. Can we have, Mr. Sankar Ganesh, technical director of UTH Dave Holdings Software Services India Private Limited. He is our moderator. And our panelists are Siddharth, the CEO of Killa.io. Then we have Yu Chang Lim, the Chief Business Officer of Orion. Michael Doherty, the CEO of Doherty Capital LLC. Mohit Singh Sengar, Chief Technology Officer of Invathu Technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, please, all of you, put your hands together for our panelist and moderator. Gentlemen, please, audience, thank you. We'll be having a couple of more panel discussion as well. And then it will be the end of day 3 of Internet 2.0 conference. So all of you enjoy this panel discussion.
So good evening, everybody. We won't take much of your time, even though it's 40 minutes. We don't want to bore everyone. So I'll come up with clear things. So it's a clear agenda. So we will be looking only few things. So first thing, let me give everyone to explain themselves why these gentlemen are here, because they have expertise in blockchain. They are people who are working in blockchain in different industries, gaming, finance, lots of things they are doing it, so they can explain their use cases. I mean, not the use cases, their actual work, and along with their stuff and things. And then we'll go with why this blockchain needs to collaborate with other technology. For example, people 2 days or 3 days predominantly coming as AI. Okay. Apart from AI, what are the things blockchain can merge, and what is the scope of those things? Why we need to merge blockchain with other technology? So second thing that we're going to discuss. And third thing is why people needs to move from this current trend to blockchain, because still people using the traditional communication stuff, right? So if you ask people, are you using Web 3.0? Are you using this browser, that browser? Still they're using old things. So why we need to look ourselves to migrate thing. And in terms, the fourth one, the final one, is what are challenges, key challenges for the organizations to migrate to blockchain platforms. So these only 4 things we'll be discussing today, and I won't take much time now. I'll pass the ball to the guys, so the guys can explain about yourself, and then the current way of using blockchain in your business.
There you go. My name is Sid Ugranka. I'm CEO, co-founder of Killa.io. We are a managed service for blockchain technology, focusing on enterprise use cases. The reason we are doing this is primarily because a lot of the options in the enterprise space rely on layer 1, layer 2 networks, and we have adopted open source tech, which is called Hyperledger Fabric, and then we have built a product on Hyperledger Fabric. And the whole premise of the product is to provide enterprise managed service for blockchain technology. In my opinion, I feel that blockchain the evolution of blockchain will require integration with other tech, especially AI.
We will talk about that one. We'll first talk about the industry. So I got the industry that you applying for enterprise. So you're using Hyperledger open source framework. Yeah. But let's come back to other things again.
Hello everyone. So I am Mohit Singh Sengar, co-founder and CTO for Invathu Technologies. So we are in the blockchain industry for many years. We are building a blockchain-based review system based on the Near protocol. It is actually going to impact the market very hugely. It is going to improve the trust in the reviews that is currently there in the market in the different systems. So all the traditional systems like TripAdvisor, Yelp has some kind of security, but it's not on the blockchain, it's not on a public ledger, so it's not trustable. So we are going to bring the immutable review system, enhance privacy and the security on this space. So yeah, that's what we are doing right now.
Thank you so much for the point.
Yeah, my name is Talal Habib. I'm the CEO and founder of Sugista Studio, which is a gaming development studio. So we are into the Web3 gaming. So the integration of the blockchain, it will be like a dream for all the gamers because they will have a digital ownership of their assets, which was seek a lot. For players they're trying to get ownership of their digital assets, but that wasn't possible without the technology of the blockchain. So there are too many other advantages as well, especially specifically in the gaming industry, for example. There is an interoperability. You can use even the assets in different platforms, different even games. That wasn't possible. And there are like a new economy. Even the players can make money from the gaming as well. So the advantages is way important for the players and for the gamers specifically. Yeah, that's basically on the gaming. We'll talk in more details.
Yeah,
of course, after that.
So, I'm Yujo, Chief Business Officer of Orion. So what we do at Orion is that we're a liquidity aggregator. And what that means is that we aggregate liquidity from centralized and decentralized sources as well in a completely decentralized manner. That is to say, today, if you're in blockchain for financial services, you have centralized and decentralized exchanges. But what happens is that many people have many different accounts across the different exchanges. So what we do is that we bring the best of both worlds together. So that is just one part of the business. So now with our SDK, what we do is that with our SDK, if you're looking to build a decentralized or rather a DeFi protocol, what you can do is that you can use your liquidity, and we solve that part of the problem already. Then you can focus on the other aspects of the business, whether the marketing or the chain or Neon and so on and so forth. So that's in a nutshell what we do at Orion.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Doherty, CEO of Doherty Capital. We are an investment firm which invests into blockchain technology, and we're also an end user as we're developing some blockchain usage ourselves. And I suppose that's what we do in a nutshell for investors.
Thank you. But what makes you to use blockchain?
I strongly believe that the use for blockchain technology and crypto into the future can be harmonized in so many ways. So we will develop, we're looking to develop a token which will run on the blockchain for like an impact token into social housing, into green energy, and that's the area we're looking to focus on. We also invested into a game which has been developed but has a neuroscience attached to the end of it, which will also run on blockchain technology. So there's a massive interest from our sector.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this question why I brought in is to make sure how blockchain is diversified, because this gentleman is using in enterprise, this gentleman is using for review system. Rather, we traditionally know for review system, the obvious thing is natural language processing, right? The AI, the last 2 days, or even on the thing, it's ruling, right? But there are other things is always there, and that gentleman is using for gaming, and the two gentlemen are using for finance and gaming as well. So the blockchain is diversified this thing. So we are already moving these things. We're not talking about the future use cases. So people are already proven. That's why they have been using it day to day. Good thing. So now coming back to the things, guys, you using it on various purposes, here, enterprises, all these things. So which kind of things that blockchain needs to combine? For example, AI, IoT, big data. So, I mean, is it blockchain can survive still alone, or it should be clubbed with other technology in your working profession? That will be helpful.
So in my opinion, and I'll speak mainly from the enterprise, direction. At the end of the day, blockchain is a database, right? And it's a database that provides trust information, like what Mohit is doing with his company. And the whole objective is that the information that is being provided is authentic and trustworthy, and nobody's tampered with it, right? So all the technologies that are dealing with data, even the previous panel, for example, it was a big security, data analytics on security, and then you can apply the application aspect of it, such as AI. But it has to boil down to something that provides a level of trust, which is basically what blockchain is for. And then there are different versions of it, right? So there's public aspect of blockchain, which is more which kind of democratizes the data. But there are projects going on such as Solana, for example, in the public domain, and where they use something known as proof of stake, which kind of is like a pseudo centralized federated system, because that gives roughly explained, it gives access to a small group of people to basically make decisions on the chain. So Bitcoin is the only truly decentralized network right now, and hence it's like facing with the the blockchain trilemma, which can be discussed another time. But it's important that businesses and services that provide either certifiable information or authentic information has to provide it from a source which is immutable and trustworthy.
So what I understood is from your conversation, I would like to summarize for audience that blockchain, along with encryption, and you want to connect blockchain with the crypto technologies, basically.
Yeah, like for example, AI, right? AI is responsible for some great things, but it's also responsible for deep fakes, right? I was reading about a deep fake situation where this guy in Hong Kong attended a video conference where every single attendee was a deep fake, and he transferred $25 million because they told him to do that. And so, so blockchain is something that can play a pivotal role in preventing such things. When people are trying to basically scam money.
So it's not only the blockchain. It from your perspective, it can be combined with data analytics and data identify. So once you analyze the data, then you identify and then do all the
precisely. Yeah.
Good. So other angle with regards to
so
technology.
I think so when you ask that whether blockchain is going to survive in the coming years, I believe blockchain is going to outdate all the traditional systems. For example, right now businesses, when there is, so if we talk about our business model, the companies are like artificially inflating the reviews with the fake reviews and all those things, which is like impacting their customers, and sometimes there is no trust on those reviews, and due to that hotels getting impacted, businesses getting impacted, and blockchain is going to bring that missing piece in the internet, that is trust, right? So for example, every transaction that is going to be recorded on the public ledger is immutable, it cannot be changed. So you cannot give the review on a business until you have a proof that this review is linked with an actual transaction or actual purchase of the product or the service. So that is how you are going to remove all these fake reviews, artificially inflating the public reputation of the business, those kind of stuff. So I think blockchain is going to outdate all this old system. There is also reward kind of system where we can reward for actual thoughtful and useful reviews that is there, because it is going to anyway impact the society and give a better insights about the business. So there is a reward system where the user who has given a very detailed review is going to get the tokens and earn the money. So that is how I think blockchain is going to impact the billions of businesses in a very major way.
So summarized thing is, so blockchain needs to combine with AI and then to make the data authentic. So
and it is going to bring the trust. That is
I think it's also the other way. The technologies also need to combine with blockchain. Okay. It's because blockchain is just going to be like, hey, I'm here.
Being a patriarchal to blockchain, I understand being a patriarchal to blockchain. You want all technology to pull blockchain, right? I mean, the question should be drifted like blockchain is a magnet which will attract all the things. Like, good. I will come back to that line from your perspective, gentlemen.
Yes. In addition to that, as they said, the guys, it will have, there will be trust, right, using the technology. And blockchain is, there's a transparency, which is very important. And from transparency, like every transaction is registered. For example, when it comes to the gaming, let's say, right, the NFTs or the digital assets, the characters, for example, again, as you mentioned that you can use it in data analytics, right? So I can know that how many, and this character, for example, how many times it's been sold before. So, after a while, for example, you will have a data, right? So you have a kind of data analytics. Now, if you can't, even if something was sold from one guy to another, how can you verify that? How can you don't have even a ledger for all these transactions, right? But the blockchain you give that of the transparency that all these transactions has already been registered in the blockchain, and you can even go back and look at the history of this specific digital item.
Okay.
It would be amazing in data analytics and marketing as well. You will know which things is working and which is not.
Okay, again, it's purely on making data refinement. Okay, so first it is on analysis phase, now it's going to refinement phase. Good. From you?
I think as far as blockchain goes, it's really just storage of data, but at the end of the day, what are we going to do with this data that we have? But the question isn't really can blockchain survive on its own? But what is it going to do if it's on its own? Nothing. It's just like a museum of records that hold everything together. But you still need people to come and take a look at these things that you've kept, right? So blockchain to me started as Roblox.
Okay.
Then today it is DeFi. Tomorrow it could be real world assets, and I hope it is. So it really depends on how we want to use it instead of being superficially say blockchain does this and does that. How are we really using it? Like what is the actual use case of it? I think that is how I would approach this.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you.
I suppose looking from a financial background, I look at it completely different than here, where I can see the use case for blockchain. But if I can comparison to something else, if we go back 40 years ago and we look at the car industry, when they came up with safety aspects within a car, the manufacturers were open about it to make sure it was safe across all the cars, like safety belts, tensions, airbags, ABS. Until the industry really opens itself up across the board, I think we're always going to struggle. We need some kind of regulation around it. Although it's supposed to be decentralized, we do need some regulation around it. And apart from that, the regulatory and legal framework that you have to work in is a minefield. So although the blockchain technology may work, but when you add it with something that's crypto or data collection, it's then a minefield. So if I want to use blockchain technology to NFT all property sales, which is going to be deharmonized and then sold through a token, it's virtually impossible, purely because land registry offices cannot cope with so many transactions of daily sales and buys of tokens, so the ownership is constantly changing. So where the idea is fantastic, but the harmonization across different sectors is where we need to be looking. So where you're looking at it all from a different point, I'm banging my head off a wall and a lawyer telling me, no, you can't do it. I'm saying, why? The technology is here, we can't do it. So it's to find a framework, and then you're trying to build trust, you're trying to do DAOs, you're putting in investment managers. You have to go through a whole area to get to what should be simple.
So to that, Michael, wasn't that what the evolution of email, for example, right? It started off as it disrupted the entire messaging infrastructure, like the post office and stuff, and then they had big regulation around it for spam and that kind of stuff, right? So do you think that blockchain is in that? I'm sorry, I'm asking.
No problem. It's open space, man.
No, I totally agree. But if we look at email today, I'm considerably older than most people here. I would feel this, right? But when the computers started coming out, like offices were going to be paperless. I still go through as much paper today, and now I have a hard copy of it. I have it on the computer. I have it saved in blockchain. So look at school. Look at the education system. When we talk about emails, they're still teaching kids how to write. What's their handwriting like? we're not, they're not using calculators. Okay, I have kids and they're using iPads in school, but only for some lessons. It's making it a bit easier. I do think we are going in the right path, but I think we're doing it extremely slow and difficult. And I truly believe that until the marketplace opens up to start sharing the information between each other, we're always going to struggle because there we go, there's blockchain, it can do fantastic things, but you ain't seen what I'm going to do. I'm keeping it for myself and we're going to develop it. It's impossible.
Yeah, that's what my next question coming up actually. You actually open up my next question, might make my job easy actually. The reason is, as you rightly said, migrating people from, that's what my third question in the agenda, right? Migrating the things, not only for the organization, for the end users, everybody, right? When you're migrating from post office to email, you're giving a confidence to people that it's using SMTP, right? Simple mail transfer protocol. There is, even the common layman, that period of time, doesn't read all the things, okay? But still is seeing something is there, SMTP, it's still like a policeman. Will say, they goes like the security and all these things comes up. So that kind of things we wants to understand. If you guys are moved into different diversion of domains, so what you guys advise for the upcoming people sitting here to work, for example, in the fintech or in the game or in entrepreneur stuff or anything on collecting the data from users. So should if I'm going to start a product or if I'm going to do these things, what are the proactive steps I need to do or migration steps required to do these things so that I can conveniently pull my customers, pull my counterpart and others to investors to trust me to this thing, because the one example that the gentleman has told, right? They giving token, which is one of the things like protocol, right? So we can go with this word trust and protocol stuff. Similar like when you use your card, right? Wherever you use the card across the world, and then they say that this is given by Mastercard, Visa card, RuPay, American Express, whatever. You're trusting that, right? Those kind of things are what I'm trying to say to these people. What kind of things the people needs to do in their product in order to migrate to a blockchain and make use of them effectively. I'll start from this time from that direction.
I prefer to start in that direction, but okay. Look, I suppose from where I sit, it's to know exactly what you want to do and then surround yourself with the right people like we have here. For someone like myself, I'm not a tech guy. I invest in tech. I go to the people like I have here.
You can also communicate from an investor perspective what makes you to invest on. When they explaining the solution, right? Because this guy's coming out of the box. Because the traditional platform is different and your platform is different. So why if you are able to invest it, then the people here can pull other investors also on their product, similar kind of ideas.
Look, depending, each investor is going to be different, or each investment company is going to be different. They will have their own set of standards on what they're looking for and what they like. I'm not going to invest in something I don't like and don't understand. Do I really understand blockchain? I have a good idea, but exactly the people you have sitting here are the exact people I would go to and say, this is after coming in front of me. I like the sound of it. Do you think it's viable? Is it going to work? It's surrounding yourself, from someone like myself, it's surrounding yourself with the right people. That's the key for me.
Okay, very good, very good. Thank you so much for the nice answer, because people who are going to develop the products, not only in blockchain or anything, when we say, I tried so much of demos, so much of people I tried, but I'm still getting my zero investors. But the thing, as he rightly said, you must, before presenting your product demo or prototype, before going to investor, you must understand what was the thing expected from the investor perspective. And you say, I'm using blockchain, I'm using AAA. It's not like that. It's actually, you need to get the investor mindset and use attractive stuff. Thank you so much for the answer.
I think coming from a banking background to Web3 finance today, what I can say is this. So it's funny to me that post-COVID, probably like 3 months ago when I went back to the bank, just to do something simple, it wasn't simple. It took me quite a while. And if I don't think, but it happens, and if the same thing that is done on blockchain financially, so much faster. That's it. It's done. I snap my fingers, it's done. So the thing is this, regardless of the product or industry that you're in, I think, it doesn't hurt to really take a second to reflect, like, what is not going right. A lot of times I speak with people, regardless of the industries, and they say, business is not doing good, and so on and so forth, but do you really think, why? Are you too slow? How can we speed that up? I think COVID was a very, very good lesson for all of us because we were all locked in our own homes, and then businesses had to think of what to do. And I'm really thankful for this technology because it helped us in so many different ways. And the businesses that are around until today are the businesses that have, I would say, evolved, that has actually taken initiative to change, and that's all done through blockchain technology.
Okay, so you mean to say that when the change is very, very critical, after COVID, we are forced to do lots of changes.
Positive.
Good.
Yes, in my opinion, simplicity and awareness. Those are two of the most important things because if you dive deep into the blockchain, it's very complex. It's a very complicated technology, right? And very complicated for people who's not enthusiast about the technology. Nobody would even care how this thing is working, right? So what we need to do is the awareness because the value and the advantages of the blockchain is massive for all type of industry, whether it's like supply chain, real estate,
Agriculture,
everything exactly. So what we need to do is to make it as simple as possible for the people to understand. So by laying out the advantages, which is very important. And secondly, what's happening in the space, specifically like in the last couple of years, the people who's into the blockchain and the Web3 space, they realize that in order to get the adoption of the people, then we need to make it simple. We need to avoid like the jargon of the blockchain and this terminology, the gas fees. Nobody would care, especially the consumer, the regular consumer, right? So there are actually several platforms they have developed like software development development kits like SDKs that's going to be easy to implement into your website, for example, or into your business. So when I want to convert my business to migrate to the blockchain, I will just use the SDK, and I think this is providing something similar to that, which is amazing, right? And there are other platforms that are doing the same for different industries. So in my opinion, this is a very important thing in order for the people to see the advantages and to migrate it has to be as seamless as possible. Like gaming, right? For example, in gaming, the regular gamer, if you overwhelm him with this terminology and with this jargon about the blockchain and to go to centralized exchange and then to decentralized, nobody will even play the game, right? They will delete it immediately. So what needs to be done, everything has to be done in the back end. And once the people who they try the technology, they try it out and see how it is beneficial and how it's add value to the businesses, then they will have the curiosity to even learn about it more and more, and that's how we advance, in my opinion.
Thank you, Talal. That's why at this time I voluntarily push direction because from the investor point of view, what was the thing mostly what we think is most startups. I'm not blaming all the people. Most startups, when they want to start an organization, most entrepreneurs, they say, I want to use latest technologies, right? They want to put in their brochure to the investors and to the consumers saying that my product, this particular watch is using AI, big data analytics, data things, all the jargon wants to put and then make everyone confused, starting from the investor and the end users and even their team members also. So to get clarity, you absolutely come up with a nice thing that we start to be in the premise and then what we need and then make use of the clear points and then do things. And SDK things I'll definitely come back to you. So once I done, I'll add up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think I can explain this whole blockchain thing in very simple terms. Two financial people are sitting here, and I can take that example. So, for example, if you send or give a money to the bank, you record it on your registry or the ledger on your side, and the bank is recorded on their side on some ledger. So this record, one copy is on your side, one copy is on the bank side. Now it is like we are agreeing on some mutual trust. It's like just doing a pinky promise to a big bank that you are going to keep my money safe. You have the record on your ledger, I have the record on my ledger. But there is no trust, there is no third authority who is going to, like, let's say if I deny that no, I have given the much bigger amount than this, and I can temper my ledger, right? In the same way, bank can temper the ledger and say that hey, I didn't never received your money. So there is no trust. That is, if what if there is a public ledger in the common space, so when you do some changes or the bank do some changes, it's automatically updated in that ledger. That is public ledger. That is actually blockchain. And these agreements are actually contracts, smart contracts, which are self-executable. So there are rules. Whenever you give the money, it is going to be deducted from your account. It is going to be sent to the bank account. So this smart contracts in the public ledger is the basic backbone of the blockchain, and that is how we are building the trust in the system.
Okay, thank you. That helpful for the next man, next question particular. But I will ask this guy to finish his.
Oh, Mohit, I have so many thoughts about what you just said because I've been on like a world tour and I'm totally with Michael on this. Governments are not going to allow blockchain to replace this banking infrastructure that they have taken thousands of years to build, right? It's just not going to happen. And they're going to definitely find, and also as the benefits of blockchain, there's a lot of things that people use blockchain for like to do bad things, right? So you have to be aware of that. Coming to your question, I think from a starting a company standpoint, what a founder needs to look at is relevant technology, right? For example, in 2015, we were using machine learning for analytics, for data analytics in IT security, and we used a amazing platform called Splunk, and they provided out-of-the-box machine learning, right? Sean is like laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And so the point was that nobody thought about OpenAI, right, in 2015. The second thing is that you have to be able to survive the period when your technology adoption is irrelevant, because that's going to be your biggest gamble, right? So in my case, working inside blockchain and not going towards a solution based and working on the infrastructure is a big gamble. Because on the flip side, if blockchain doesn't take off, or Bitcoin goes to 5,000, it's going to kill the industry. It's going to slow the industry down further, and that's exactly what happened with 2021 when when Bitcoin crashed. FTX happened in 2002. Investors, just ran away, right? And so, but what has come out of it is this amazing intention to help people, right? So we work with this US-based company where they want to provide minority genome data for pharmaceutical testing, right? Because 90% of all the genome data available today is white European male. So that's one of the reasons why people are like, hey, the COVID vaccine, it didn't work in many cases, right? And these are the kind of reasons. So coming back to the question, as a founder, you have to be able to survive that gestation period. And OpenAI did that, right? They've sold their house multiple number of times for that company, and when they figured out the right moment to launch it, they did, and it's changed everything, the way we think about technology, and so on. So it's important that you believe in the technology which you're looking at, and you don't worry about investors. One-time investors would I want to talk about all those investors who put money in FTX, and now they sit down and then they give you gyan on, we want something that has scalability and it could land you on the moon kind of idea.
Thank you so much, Kals. You want to add anything before I summarize?
Yeah, I mean, one more thing I wanted to add is like other than the trust that blockchain brings into this banking or any other kind of system, it's actually fast. So, for example, if I have to transfer the money now to my friend in America, it is going to take 2-3 days using the Swift. If there is Swift, if there is weekend, then it is going to take 1 week. But this is going to be outdated and become it's just going to work only with the traditional system. Bitcoin and blockchain, I don't think it is going to be zero in any near future. For that, you have to turn down the internet of whole world. So it is not possible. So this speed of the transfer of the money, that is also solved by the blockchain. So I think that is the two major problems that is the banking the industry is facing, and I think we can solve it using the blockchain.
Thank you. To summarize for the startup people, not only startup people, any organization wants to develop a product by tagging that hashtag of blockchain. From the technical perspective, people saying that we must choose. There is some period like OpenAI told that there is some right time to launch is very key important. Forget about the other area happening about the next happening in the invention room. So the invention room is like a isolated room. You forget about other things, other no factors. In fact, Talar was very clear. You might be on the point, on the premise, and from these people, gentlemen, they're saying that all these things will be nicely evolved when you focus on these things. Don't worry about the external things. Do it in your product. Make sure that the product having the right hashtag, not including all the jargons. So that's what I feel.
I want to add to Michael's. I don't want to hijack the thing. So if you guys have anything, but we're the same generation, right? I think maybe like you're about 5 years younger than me.
I think you've been pretty kind. Look, I'm going to get you that beer afterwards anyway, so look, you can be honest here.
So personally, I think we are the last generation, right? This is a generation that started in the 80s, that saw the dot-com boom, that saw the Web 2 boom, the banking collapse, the innovation of Bitcoin. I mean, everything's happened in the past 30 years, right? And I think, my daughter's generation, she's 11, I think that generation is reaping the benefits of these 30 years. We look at it from a very granular perspective by saying things like, I don't want a token, right? But if that becomes a reality and a norm for the next generation, there's nothing we can do about it. And it doesn't necessarily have to work in every industry vertical, right? Blockchain doesn't need to impact everything, but if it impacts something, then I think.
No, look, I agree. And I think we need to put in perspective here. We're talking about a very short period of time where we've moved so far. Blockchain has proven itself. It's a supply chain management system with fantastic verification end-to-end. It did very well for VE chain with putting the vaccinations out across the globe. You look at IBM, they ship all the stuff through it. Lufthansa is using it. People are using it every day without even knowing they're using it. And I think that's the definition of something works well. It truly does. I think we need to put it in perspective. When we talk about blockchain, we talk about crypto, and we talk about rug pulls, money been lost. It still doesn't come close to what we lost in the banking system last year with banking collapses. Unfortunately, we're a victim of our own success because with blockchain and your social media, people tend to believe what they read and not look at the true facts here.
Yes.
So we've got to put it in perspective as well, and that's where it comes into play when we have experts like this that we can refer to. From an investor's perspective, we can see exactly what we're going to get into, and you get that. It's called what we would call a slap in the face of reality, and say, actually, okay, I was looking at it from the wrong angle. So it's very true, Sid, what you're saying. We are the last of the generation, and I bet that your child, when it picked up that iPad, instantly knew how to use it. I'm still trying to figure out how I charge it.
Thank you so much, Mike and Sid. You guys brought a good clarity of what is required on these things. It's very good. And since you started with the things, right, hyper all these things, I'll quickly give one minute for these people, just to tech people. What kind of, because people if they want to use it in the enterprise, they can go for hyperledger, they can search something, and then similarly through that open source stuff, so that the people can take it as a motive, and then they can search for the internet, and then they can study things, or if you are okay with that thing.
Yeah, I mean, our platform's open source. So our entire objective is open source. It's to share the knowledge.
Just tell them the technology so that they can
Okay. So we use Hyperledger Foundation. This is a project that was started by the Linux Foundation in 2015. It was adopted by IBM, Accenture, and they built out this enterprise use case. It's not the best selection of open source software for something like this for enterprise, but there's nothing that comes close to it from it.
Thank you so much for other things.
So we are currently using the near blockchain, but we have some of our own other old apps that is built on Ethereum network and the Solana network. So these are the three main blockchains we are using for building our products.
Mohit, let's make it 4, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. We will collaborate.
Just giving all the things for all the people. Okay.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is to give value for the gamers, right? With the gaming industry, to show them the value of using the blockchain, that it's giving a value that wasn't even existing. When people realize that there are too many things into the blockchain, the value and the advantages that even wasn't existing before that technology, then the light bulb will light, right? And it's, that's how it's done. So it's about awareness, because most of the people who say blockchain, it's Bitcoin, right?
Yes.
That's what they
That's the
know.
only thing.
It's a crypto.
It's
Exactly, and it's a very small use case. Actually.
Yes.
So if we give the awareness and show the people how can you get value out of it, then the
It's
adoption.
good. It's good. I'll give you time after this gentleman is done.
It's the question, how are they going to use my technology?
Sorry, it's a
This
question.
was your question, how are they going to use my technology?
Yes, I mean, if I want to do something blockchain, where should I start? As from a developer perspective, we can, because this gentleman has nicely brought in that Hyperledger framework, right? So, those
Okay.
kind of things.
If you were to ask a non-techie outsource it,
Uh-huh.
ask the experts. And it's true, because, as a business guy, there's only so much I know. And I know things from the business perspective. I had a very interesting conversation with the team just a while back, and we were actually debating what's the next thing we're going to do. Then we talk about the kind of technology we're going to adopt. And then us, the business guys, we just came in and said, you know what, that's the easy side of things. Let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about what we are going to be. We are going to be about problems that we can solve. I think, if someone wants to start in blockchain, how should they get started? Why do you want to do it in the first place? It's because it's fantasy? Are you reinventing the wheel, or is there a problem that will really exist? Because if there's no problem, then you are probably the problem.
Thank you so much for the genuine, from the heart answer. Really, I like that answer. Mike, anything you want to add for the people to?
Look, all I would say is know where you want to start, know where you want to end, and then find these guys that tell you how it happens in the middle.
Good.
And
Collaboration is the key.
exactly, and don't reinvent the wheel here. What you're going to do has to fix the solution. Don't just do something for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
But I agree with everyone that said here. Absolutely.
Good. To summarize, guys, I mean, everything starts with pilot and stuff. Even the personal experience from my side in 2008. Actually, when I surprised to was mainly work on EJP stuff, Java, J2EE stuff, on full things, and people asking me to just take an interview on Java. Then they put me in Android. At that time, nobody. If I say I'm working as an Android guy, they ask what is Android, this kind of things. The device, right? You actually told I'm also from your era. Okay, hashtag me also. And that time the devices, it's coming from UK and India. I mean, the device is not kept like your mobile phone. It kept with a small kind of velvet cloth on top of that. We'll put there, and then once we finish the work, it needs to close. We'll put that in the cabin, and then it needs to close, and then the key needs to handle to the security kind of thing. But now I see the devices are there in everyone's packet, even more than one devices. I saw Mike has 2 or 3 devices in his packet yesterday. I'm very happy that how the things has been evolved from 2008 to 2024. Similarly, I expect the blockchain will do from 2024 to some now, and it will definitely come back, guys.
I have a very interesting story about when I started my first business. I'll just take a few
I
minutes.
think we are already running out of time. Maybe you can take a minute of time so that guys.
Do you have any questions, anyone? Yeah.
So, I think, probably, I think there's questions now, why and or the collaboration with blockchain and what that is on crypto, and how the government may or may not. How the government may or may not approve it as an ongoing solution. Now, we all know blockchain is, in its heart, is there for the right reasons. I can tell you, some of the governments are working on that because the financial certs, the financial law enforcement folks of the government are looking at ways of how can they monitor some of those things for illicit transactions. So once they get to the point of being able to solve that, then we may see that adoption. But until then, much like with some other things we talked about the other day about marijuana and certain entities, now they're allowing certain levels of government to tax. Once they figure out how to monetize it and regulate it, then it'll get approved. But it's still an ongoing thing. So how do you think they might be able to do some of that?
So I think the Bitcoin ETF is a step in the right direction because the whole objective was that the reason why people use the crypto landscape so that they don't have to pay banking fees, they don't have to go through the banks, they could transact peer to peer. But then when general public started getting into Bitcoin as an investment vehicle, people were basically cashing in the Bitcoin for actual currency which belonged to the US government, right? So that actually raised alarms, right? Because if Bitcoin existed without, if you didn't have to pay US dollars to buy Bitcoin or get US dollars to buy Bitcoin, the government would not care about it, right? Because that bullion has its value only within the network. But the bad actors in that network were using Bitcoin to take payment, and then they were basically encashing it for US dollars, which is the end game for them. So ETFs are ways in which 90 to 95% of the people that own Bitcoin, who are retail investors, can actually come in and they can transact on the exchange. They can use their currency on the exchange. I was reading an article that now there's an Ethereum ETF coming out in the month of May. So this public-private public collaboration. By public, I mean these Bitcoin networks. Private are the retail investors, and the public is the government. This collaboration is what's going to drive this understanding that everybody trusts each other, the KYC is done. That's what will drive.
Yeah, I have something to say about that. Actually, the adoption in terms of centralization technology, that would happen definitely, and it's happening right now. The problem is with the decentralization thing in the blockchain, right? Not only with the government, even with the social media, for example. Like, imagine that, the followers that you have in LinkedIn or in Instagram, for example, those are your followers, right? So if you move to another platform, you can move them with you as well. But, now, people, they don't want to let control, right? They want to control things. And it's all about power, so it's going to be very hard. This is actually a very complex issue because in terms of decentralization and decentralization, okay, the technology itself, I think the adoption will be huge in technology in terms of centralization. Like hospital, for example, it has to be centralization because it's your file. You have to do the KYC, that you have your name and everything else. Because this, let's say, this number, this wallet, it belongs to Sean, for example, right? So, and the technology is there, but it's done in a centralized manner. As what Sid said about the ETF, it's a very advanced move, I think, because the only thing, if you think about it, Bitcoin is like the father of decentralization, right? It is exactly. So when they adopted and implemented the ETF, this is, I think, a very good step forward. And I think all depends what's coming up in November, next November. Actually, that will shape a lot of things in the industry. I guess, right?
Thank you so much. I really like because the EA for me is a target, but the LinkedIn, I sort of think it's a layman perspective, which clearly gives me a person kind of me from not from this particular things, right? So it's clearly giving that our data is must be owned by ours. But these people, right, are using, they're getting the revenue by using our data because of followers and stuff. The content we are working for them indirectly, because when you try to post to the LinkedIn is actually getting, we try to, what do you call, brand ambassador of LinkedIn without getting any single
We got controlled by like 5 giants.
So that customer of mine in the US who's doing this is actually, what they're doing is they want the person's blood sample and genome. When the pharmaceutical companies come and they buy it, they want that person to get paid for it every time it gets used. So it's a very similar use case about how decentralization, is giving value.
Yeah. Good. I hope it answers your question, Shah.
Sort of, yes.
Thank you. Is there any other questions, guys? Okay.
I'll ask one. So, Sid, I think you mentioned blockchain is basically a database. That's what the core definition of blockchain is. And Mohit, I think you were mentioning public ledgers, especially around banking. So one of the things I keep coming back to, and we were discussing this in our panel as well, is privacy. If my data is part of a public ledger, how do I ensure privacy? Like, I don't want everybody to know my financial transactions. I don't want them to know my net worth. I don't want them to know where I'm headed to, which pub I'm paying a bill for. So what are the challenges you see, especially in end consumer applications?
In terms of what do you call the data, restricting for only for certain group for read and write and control access. That's what you're trying to.
Yeah, because if it's a public ledger, everybody
yes,
can read it. So right now, I only have to say trust one bank or multiple
So
banks.
they basically wants to.
Yeah, so actually we are building, that will answer the solution that we are building. It's for the dispute resolution system that we are building. So there, if there is some controversial comments, so right now people hesitates to leave a review on a business or something because they worry about their identity getting public. So blockchain actually ensures that you we gives you we verify you, we keep you anonymous, and at the same time maintain the integrity of the system. So there are ways to handle that, and there is no need of posting your all the information on the public domain and all those stuff. So there is a way we can handle this kind of privacy concern. So it will be enhanced with help of blockchain.
So in blockchain, there's something known as a self-sovereign identity project. Okay, and it's a free paper, you can download it. But the analogy is that when you walk into a liquor store, the person asks you for an ID, you provide your driver's license to the ID, and then he looks at your name, your photograph, your birth date, your address, and everything, right? And that's information that's public. So what the SSI does is that there are 3 players in this triangle. There's a issuer, there's a verifier, and there's a recipient, right? Which is what they're doing. And what happens in that is that issuance of a SSI wallet happens once, and when someone asks you, are you 21 and over, that wallet actually self-authenticates that person's age, and without revealing any other information as part of that. And when data resides on the blockchain, it resides in an encrypted format, in a hash. So even if some hacker got into it, one is he'd have to know where to look, because you have independent decentralized nodes that sit in the network, and only they know how to speak to each other. And then if you're storing an image or a document, then it stores it in IPFS, which basically destroys the image when it stores it. So even if he gets one piece of the image, he's not going to be able to know what it is. And so that's what the privacy and security concerns are handled in blockchain.
Thank you, Sid, for taking me from Dubai to my PhD college, where I'm currently pursuing on this career, right? And taking me there to do work with the algorithm and all the stuff. Thank you so much. Any other questions, guys? Thank you so much, all gentlemen. And it's really good to have you guys on the panel. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you.